It was the morning Calvin left for his supposed conference, and I was curled up on the couch, battling a nasty cold. He kissed my forehead, told me to rest, and promised to call that evening. He walked out the door, briefcase in hand, and I instantly felt a sense of unease settle over me. I should have listened to that feeling. I'll never forget what happened next. Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney, and I'm about to tell you a story about a relationship that went completely off the rails. It's a story about betrayal, manipulation, and ultimately finding my own strength. Before I dive in, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let me know. It always makes me feel less alone knowing there are people out there who understand. Calvin and I had been together for 5 years. 5 years of what I thought was a loving, committed relationship.
We met at a coffee shop, both reaching for the same sugar packet. It was a meet-cute worthy of a rom-com, and for a long time our life felt like one. We had our routines, our inside jokes, and a comfortable life in our cozy apartment. We talked about the future, about marriage, about kids. Or at least, I thought we did. That morning, though, things felt different. Calvin was distant. He rushed around, avoiding eye contact, and his goodbye kiss lacked the usual warmth. I chalked it up to pre-conference jitters. He hated public speaking, and I knew these conferences always made him anxious. Later that day, feeling slightly better but still under the weather, I decided to be a good girlfriend and finish packing his bag. He'd left it half done in his haste to leave. As I was folding his shirts, his phone, which he'd forgotten, buzzed incessantly.
I ignored it at first, but the constant notifications grew irritating. Finally, curiosity got the better of me. I picked it up. It was a social media notification. A picture of Calvin. My stomach plummeted. He was at a pool party in Las Vegas, shirtless, with his arm around another woman. Her name was Brittany, according to the caption. Brittany, with the long blonde hair, and a smile that screamed, "I know something you don't." The caption read, "Vegas, baby. What happens here, stays here." Except for this hot guy. My world tilted. My head swam. I felt like I was going to be sick again. But this time, it wasn't from the cold. It was from the searing pain that ripped through my chest. I stared at the picture, my mind refusing to process what I was seeing. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be Calvin. Not my Calvin. But it was. The next few hours were a blur of anger, disbelief, and hurt. I paced the apartment, replaying every conversation, every gesture, every moment I thought we shared. Were there signs I'd missed? Was I blind? Stupid? When Calvin finally called that evening, I was ready. "Hey, babe. How are you feeling?" he asked, his voice sickeningly cheerful. "Where are you, Calvin?" I demanded, my voice trembling despite my best efforts. There was a pause. A long, pregnant pause. "I'm at the conference, Sydney. Where else would I be?" "Don't lie to me," I snapped. "I saw the picture, Calvin. I saw you with Brittany. At a pool party. In Las Vegas." The silence on the other end was deafening. "Sydney, he stammered. "Just tell me the truth," I said, the words laced with a bitter plea. "Please," he sighed. "Okay, fine. Yes, I'm in Vegas. And yes, I was at a pool party. But it's not what you think." "Oh, really enlighten me, Calvin. What am I supposed to think when I see you with your arm around another woman?" He mumbled something about needing to loosen up and network. I cut him off. "Save it, Calvin. I'm done." "We're done." "Sydney, wait. Don't do this," he pleaded. "We can talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about," I said, my voice cold and hard. "Get your stuff out of my apartment when you get back, and don't bother calling again." I hung up. The floodgates opened. I sobbed. Great, heaving sobs that shook my entire body. 5 years. 5 years wasted on a liar, on a cheater, on someone who clearly didn't value me or our relationship. The next day, still fueled by anger and hurt, I packed all of Calvin's belongings into garbage bags. I threw out his clothes, his shoes, his books, everything that reminded me of him. It was cathartic, destructive, and probably a little crazy, but it made me feel powerful. Like I was taking back control of my life. He called repeatedly, leaving voicemails begging for forgiveness, promising it was a mistake. I ignored them all. When he finally returned, he found his belongings piled on the sidewalk outside our apartment building. He called again, furious. What the hell, Sydney? You can't just throw my stuff out like that. I can and I did, I said, my voice icy. Consider it a parting gift. You're being unreasonable, he said, his voice rising. We can work through this. I made a mistake. No, Calvin, I said. You made a choice, and you chose her. So, good luck with Brittany. I hope she's worth it. I hung up again. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 days later, I arrived at work to find Calvin waiting for me in the lobby.
My workplace was a small design agency where everyone knew everyone. Sydney, we need to talk, he said, his eyes pleading. I wanted to scream, to run, to disappear. But I stood my ground. There's nothing to talk about, Calvin. Please leave. Just hear me out, he begged. I messed up, I know. But I love you, Sydney. I really do. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done what you did, I said, my voice trembling. I don't know what I was thinking, he said, running a hand through his hair. Brittany, she was just exciting. You're comfortable, predictable. His words were like a slap in the face. Comfortable? Predictable? Was that all I was to him? Get out, Calvin, I said, my voice shaking with rage. Get out of here and leave me alone. He hesitated for a moment, then turned and walked away. I went to my desk, my hands shaking so badly I could barely type. I tried to focus on my work, but my mind kept replaying his words. Comfortable. Predictable. That evening, I found a note slipped under my apartment door. It was from Calvin. I know I messed up, Sydney, but I can't imagine my life without you. Please give me another chance. I'll do anything to win you back. I crumpled the note in my fist and threw it in the trash. The next few weeks were a living hell. Calvin wouldn't leave me alone. He called constantly, sent flowers, showed up at my apartment building at all hours of the night. Our mutual friends took sides, some supporting me, others urging me to forgive him. My mother called every day, worried sick. His behavior became increasingly erratic. One night, I came home to find him sitting on the steps outside my building, crying. Sydney, please, he sobbed. I'm so sorry. I can't live without you.
I stepped over him and unlocked my door. Go home, Calvin, I said, my voice flat. You're scaring me. He grabbed my wrist. Please, just give me one more chance. That was it. Something inside me snapped. I pulled my arm away and slapped him, hard. His eyes widened in shock. He stood there for a moment, stunned, then turned and ran. The next morning, I received a formal warning from my building management about Calvin's behavior. Apparently, several neighbors had complained about him loitering and causing disturbances. I felt humiliated, violated, and utterly exhausted. My mother insisted I move. She was convinced Calvin was going to hurt me. I resisted at first, but after another tearful phone call from her and a frank conversation with my sister, I relented. I found a new apartment in a different part of town, a place where Calvin wouldn't be able to find me.
Moving was a logistical nightmare, but it was also incredibly liberating. It felt like I was shedding my old life and starting fresh. I thought I was finally free. I was wrong again. 2 weeks after I moved, I came home from work to find Calvin sitting outside my new apartment building. He looked terrible. His eyes were bloodshot, his clothes were rumpled, and he hadn't shaved in days. "Sydney, please," he begged, his voice hoarse. "I need to talk to you." I took a deep breath and tried to remain calm. "Calvin, I told you to leave me alone. I don't want to talk to you." "I know I messed up," he said, tears streaming down his face. "But I've changed, Sydney. I promise I have. Please, just give me one more chance to prove it to you." "It's over, Calvin," I said, my voice firm. "I'm not going to give you another chance. You had your chance, and you blew it." "Please, Sydney," he pleaded.
I love you. I can't live without you. He reached for my hand. I flinched. "Don't touch me, Calvin," I said, backing away. He lunged for me, grabbing my wrist. "Let go of me," I yelled, pulling my arm away. He wouldn't let go. He tightened his grip, his eyes wild with desperation. "Please, Sydney," he sobbed. "Don't do this to me." I panicked. I felt trapped, threatened, terrified. Without thinking, I slapped him again. Harder this time. He finally released my wrist, his face contorted with pain and shock. I ran inside, slamming the door behind me. I stood there, trembling, listening for him to follow. But he didn't. I peeked through the peephole. He was gone. Later that night, I found another note slipped under my door. It was short, simple, and chilling. "You'll regret this, Sydney." I called the police. They took a report, but there wasn't much they could do.
They advised me to get a restraining order, but I hesitated. I didn't want to escalate things further. I told my mom and sister about the note. They were furious. They insisted I get the restraining order. I finally agreed. The next few weeks were tense. I was constantly on edge, looking over my shoulder, afraid of what Calvin might do. I heard through the grapevine that news of the slap had spread. Some people were sympathetic to Calvin. Others were horrified by his behavior. Most were just gossiping. I didn't care. I refused to feel guilty for protecting myself. I had finally drawn the line in the sand. My mom and sister were my rocks during that time. They offered unwavering support, reminding me of my strength and encouraging me to stand my ground. "You deserve better than that, Sydney," my mom said. "You deserve someone who loves and respects you, not someone who manipulates and controls you." "Don't let him win, Sydney," my sister said. "Show him that you're strong and independent and that you don't need him." Their words gave me the courage to keep going, to keep fighting for my own happiness. Eventually, Calvin stopped calling, stopped showing up. The restraining order seemed to work. Life slowly returned to normal. I focused on my work, spent time with my friends and family, and started to rebuild my life. It wasn't easy. There were days when I felt lonely and heartbroken, days when I missed the comfort and familiarity of our relationship. But I knew, deep down, that I had made the right decision. I started seeing a therapist. It helped me process my emotions, understand my patterns in relationships, and learn to set healthy boundaries. I realized that I had allowed Calvin to control me, to manipulate me, to make me feel unworthy. I had given up my own needs and desires to please him, to keep him happy. I learned that I deserved to be treated with respect, with love, with kindness, and that I was the only one who could ensure that happened. It took time, but I eventually healed. I learned to love myself again, to value my own worth, to prioritize my own well-being. I started dating again, cautiously. I was more aware of red flags, more assertive about my needs, and more willing to walk away